beautiful Lisk Center in Utrecht, and we're here with the one and only Datadash. How are you doing, Nicholas?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me for the interview. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you had a very interesting talk here about Genesis Network, or Project Genesis, I must say. Can you tell what it is?
Yeah, so Project Genesis is not an ICO, it's not anything of that sort. It's a completely from the ground up open source initiative to try and improve upon the foundation of money. And we really believe that cryptocurrency is kind of the first stepping stone, and what's been created over the last decade in crypto has really helped push forward adoption of this idea of having digital currency that's not under a government or a nationality. But the problem is we've only reached about 1% of global adoption over the last decade. So it proves that there still needs to be some stepping stones in the whole ecosystem of cryptocurrencies that improve cryptocurrency as money. So we want to improve upon this application of it being used as money. And we've proposed 3 new conceptual technologies that we're aiming to build out. Again, from the ground up, self-funded, and hopefully allow any project to use it, and hopefully increase adoption from 1% to 10%, 50%, and inevitably, hopefully the whole world using crypto. That's the objective.
Yeah, most people know you as a very famous YouTuber. You have more than 300,000 followers. What was actually your reason to start your own project?
Yeah, so I was very thankful in the sense that I had created this crypto channel back in the summer of 2017. I think it was a lot of it was a matter of timing, but I think people as well, gave me a very good blessing in the sense that I got to see what was right and wrong with the space, and I learned, where success was found a lot of times through open source engagement, people volunteering their time and building things out with little to no resources, and along with that, I saw what concepts really were missing in the space as well, coming from traditional finance and then coming into crypto. I still saw that there was issues of a lack of incentive for users. There was also a lack of capital management structures. That's a very fancy term for being able to lend and borrow crypto, which was a huge aspect of crypto that I think was missing. So we're working towards fixing those 2 issues with the 3 concepts we proposed, and we hope to build even more over time. But we're starting off with 3. The first one is ledger analysis. The second one is peer-to-peer pools. And then the third one is cooperative addresses or ecosystems. And if you want to learn more about these ideas, I can give a brief summary of them, but you can always go to our website, projectgenesisfoundation.org, and you can read the white paper, you can read the resources we have on there, and definitely learn about what we're doing.
What can we expect the coming years? What's your outlook on the technology?
Right, so as you were alluding to, in 1994, the internet only had 1% adoption, and we're at that point now in crypto. So we're basically at the 1994 blockchain. Not even the dot-com bubble yet, which is crazy how early that speaks for crypto. So what do I expect? Over the next decade or 2, I expect that we will start to see double-digit adoption. I think we'll start getting into the hands of people who really need crypto, but I think we'll start to have a much more mature vision of what crypto is, and what applications really are beneficial for cryptocurrencies. What do we need a crypto for? I can't think of any better application than the first application, which was Bitcoin, or money in that case, a store of value and a way to transact that store of value in a decentralized manner. So I think you're going to start to see actual economies starting to use cryptocurrencies.
Peer-to-peer cash.
Exactly, peer-to-peer cash. Exactly, that's a great way of putting it. And I think people argue a lot in the crypto space about a store of value versus peer-to-peer currency, right? And the thing is, they're not separate and they're synonymous in any sense. Currency or currency markets need to be stores of value. In fact, they're the second largest in the world. Now, you can inflate them and depreciate them, but they are stores of value at the end of the day. People work their 9 to 5 to, put all their working efforts into this currency that they work for at their jobs. So we want to do the same for crypto. We want to make it a great store of value and also make it very easy and convenient to use as money and also incentivize it, but also provide the framework for lending and borrowing, because that's a whole other aspect that crypto's just touching the surface on. There's a lot of cool lending platforms coming up, but a lot of them aren't crypto loans. They're not me lending you, for an example, a lot of people know the coin Dash, for example. Me lending you 100 Dash and getting 7% interest in Dash back. That would be a real crypto loan in my eyes, and we're not there yet. So
you have Celsius, Salt, but
I know Alex Majinsky, who's heading up Celsius, and they're doing great work. I love, because they're taking I think the first step of making use of crypto capital that's just sitting there, right? And I think it's so awesome to see the amount of transaction volume that they're getting. So I think they're doing great work, but I want to help build on top of that as well, and help people actually start to lend crypto to crypto in that case.
What are actually the biggest trends you see for more adoption? I mean, some people say, okay, we're going to see more stable coins built on the Ethereum network, or we're gonna see more dApps. What do you see as the biggest trends in this market?
Stablecoins, they do interest me. I've gained more interest in them over time because I think they'll be the stepping stone that will help us get more comfortable with crypto over time. If I'm starting to use a crypto that's pegged to a currency, I'll feel very comfortable, much more comfortable transitioning over to cryptocurrencies that aren't based on a nationality or aren't pegged to something. And then the second thing that I think is really exciting is providing these lending frameworks. So they kind of use a combination of stablecoin technology in a lot of cases. With
Maker.
Yeah, Maker DAI is a perfect example. I really recommend if you want to look into a cool stablecoin project. That's an awesome one. And then outside of that, I'd say I think it's going to be incentive structures for crypto. And the real sad thing is that we've been focusing over the last decade on just rewarding validators or people who reach consensus over the network. So Bitcoin miners or stakeholders in a currency. So Bitcoin through mining block rewards and producing blocks for the network. That's how you get new Bitcoin that are minted. And then on proof of stake networks, people who make the next block, who are stakeholders, will get a new stake of coins. We need to focus on how do we incentivize users. So that's where ledger analysis comes in. You know, I don't want to shill my ideas in that sense, but I think that's where we need to focus on, whether it's ledger analysis or something else, incentive for users.
What kind of governance models do you find interesting? I mean, Dash, for instance, has its self-funding mechanism, for instance, and
I'm fascinated by what Dash is doing with the treasury. It's what's led them to being so successful in Venezuela. Venezuela is the poster child of a nation that needs cryptocurrencies. It's a perfect use case. You have a corrupt government not to mention you have inefficient payment networks, and you have a currency that's hyperinflating. So people don't have a place to store their value. Well, they do with crypto. And crypto is very effective payment networks. They don't shut down. Sure, some of them still need to scale, but Dash is at a level where it can scale. And it allows for private transactions, so governments can't censor it. So anyways, I went on a tangent there about Dash, but their treasury model is really cool, and they've been able to self-fund efforts in Venezuela without doing any ICO, where basically they can go about creating Dash in every new block that gets minted, and some of that Dash goes into a treasury where they can go about self-funding operations, so they can pay people in Dash to go to Venezuela and teach people how to use the currency and get shops accepting it. So they've been able to reach in less than a year in a bear market. That's the cool thing. In 2018, they were able to increase their merchant adoption, I think, close to 5-fold. It was incredible. They've been able to grow it. Yeah, they've been able to grow it towards about almost nearly 5,000 stores. And they're going to take that model and take it elsewhere and scale it into other countries. Start planting those seeds for real adoption. So that's exciting to me.
And actually, you were also quite interesting. You find Grin or Mimblewimble find interesting. What makes you, what makes you, how do you say, what makes Mimblewimble so interesting?
Mimblewimble, the technology itself, I like how it came in the origin similar to Bitcoin by an anonymous founder. I guess what we're doing at Project Genesis isn't from an anonymous founder, but I highly admire the technology. I think it's extremely important because I think at the end of the day, again, we have that debate of store value and peer-to-peer cash. This needs to be private. It needs to be fungible. It needs to be that I can send you money and it's just us that knows that, because that's peer-to-peer cash if we want to build that. So if we agree that we want to build that, we need to have that standard. But I love Mimblewimble outside of its technology, Grin specifically, as well as Beam. Open source, built from the ground up. It's exactly the kind of mantra that we're going for at Project Genesis. And those are the kind of people we want to collaborate with because they have the same drive and passion to see the space improve. So I actually absolutely admire how Grin has been able to sustain itself and what they're doing for the space. Because Bitcoin is seen as in the SEC's mind as you know, well, you've heard different things between the CFTC and the SEC, but Bitcoin and most peer-to-peer currencies are seen clear as just they're non-national currencies in a sense. They're currencies that people can use, and it's not securities. So the SEC doesn't have jurisdiction over it. What they do have jurisdiction over is securities, meaning a Bitcoin ETF. So do I see a Bitcoin ETF coming soon? Probably not. I was one of the few that actually thought in 2018 we'd see one. I was very optimistic, but I've learned as I've gotten to travel and talk to people that this is something that's going to take probably a good year or two from now. It's not going to take, I don't think, 5 or 10 years, but when the market conditions are right, the SEC is really concerned about two things. They stated this publicly, but I think they're two of the main reasons. Market manipulation, obviously, and then also low liquidity, which is a big issue right now, and they kind of coincide. Low liquidity can lead to market manipulation. So a lot of people have come to my channel and they say, Nick, like, what are you talking about low liquidity? There's $30 billion in volume daily in crypto. the thing that people don't realize is that it's actually much smaller. There was a big report that came out. 95% of all, yeah, Bitwise gave a great report, but it's not rocket science, to be fair. Like, this was well-known knowledge to anyone who's talked with the exchanges, who knows the exchange business. The vast majority of exchange volume is false. It's market making or wash trading, which is actually an illegal activity. So in that case, we need to see real exchanges get more volume and have a bigger spot market, which is like Coinbase, Bitstamp, Kraken, real exchanges that have real fiat trades. We need more of that. And when you get more of that liquidity, when it becomes actual tens of billions of dollars in volume, then the SEC is going to give the okay on passing an ETF. And that fixes the manipulation issue, because it's much harder to manipulate in that case. So until you get that, you're probably not going to see an ETF.
And if you look at the charts of Bitcoin, I mean, in 2019 we see between $3,000 and $4,000. What are your takes on the short and longer term?
I think in 2020 you're going to see optimism return to markets. 2019 is the year of building. I think by 2020 you could see Bitcoin get back up to around the $8,000 to $10,000 range. Next bull cycle, I think you're going to have probably Bitcoin testing around 40, 50,000. And from there, just test higher levels every time, but the multiples are going to get smaller with each cycle. Same with the corrections as well. They won't be as severe, just over a longer term as well. So I think the next cycle will peak at around 40, 50,000. After that, it's going to be something around 80 to 100,000 in that case. If Bitcoin does become a store of value, if it keeps evolving, and people continue to get involved in crypto. But we're not going to get those valuations. I hate to say it to people who just want to speculate. We won't get there unless we don't build, right? So that's what the bear market's all about. That's why we're here. We're building, and yep. Hopefully the space grows, and hopefully we can benefit from it. But more than anything, I just hope to see the space grow and see people using it. That's what matters most.
So 40 to 50,000 within how many years?
I would say probably by 2021, 2022. I think we can get there. The bull market's going to take a little bit longer, but the one thing I emphasized is, as I did talk about earlier, is that we haven't had our .com bubble yet. Don't think you're late to the game on crypto, especially after this bear market. You are early. You are in the 1% of people who have adopted crypto. So I think that it's a time to get involved. There's a lot of opportunity financially, but also just to build as an individual and play a role in something greater than yourself. I think that that's the cool thing about it. There's not much like that nowadays that is right in front of our faces, screaming to say, "Become a part of this revolution." So that's why I want to become a part of it.
You were endorsed, I think, by Substratum, and they were, for instance, delisted on Binance. And perhaps you can tell something about your relationship to that project, and actually, what do you think about the delisting?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people have misconceptions about how I worked with Substratum. It's one thing, I appreciate you asking that, because I can clarify. So Substratum, a big thing, I did a video kind of talking about how there was some form of compensation and stuff in talking about the project. But the thing about it is that there was no contract or anything that I was going to get paid something, right? Justin and I didn't sit down and say I would get some amount of sub-tokens or Ethereum. It was simply after I decided to voluntarily do the video that I liked the project. After getting about 2 or 3 people who recommended it to me, I was like, I've got to talk about this, because at the time my community was only a few thousand subscribers, very low. And when 2 or 3 people came forward with the project, it was like, oh, this is good. And I love the concept because it actually relied on censorship resistance. Who needs censorship resistance outside of money? The internet, right? Where governments, it's something that we don't relate to because we're kind of in the United States or in the West where censorship isn't as big. But we just saw what happened in Europe as a whole as well too. That's a topic that a lot of people are talking about. But anyways,
you're still bullish on the project yourself.
Subscribe. Yes, I just actually got to talk to Justin not too long ago. I visited their Amplify office, their new exchange they're doing. They actually get what needs to be fixed on exchanges, things that Binance and Coinbase should have done years ago, and they haven't done it. So I think they're making the right investments. They're building an awesome business with Amplify, but also Substratum as a project. They still have developers. They're, I think, expecting the monetization feature where you can stake your tokens and actually start earning by facilitating web traffic on the Substratum network. I think that's coming in a few weeks, about 6 or 7 weeks. So I'm excited for that. We'll see if they actually deliver. That's the real kind of crunch time, whether or not they can deliver. I've met the team. I've never had a team so optimistic to bring me out to their office, to show me around, and didn't expect me to talk or show about the project and just really, see what they're doing. As influencers, we experience this, or I hate to use the term influencers, but YouTubers or people in the space. What I hate is that every project's only eager to take you out if you're going to talk about the project, you're going to do this, that. they never made me do any of that. Like, and I think people, you know, again, view things through a glass window. They view things in a very, you know, cynical way in that case, or a black and white way where it's either like, oh, Nick's working inside of the project stuff. No, I really liked what they're doing. Like, and there weren't many other projects. There were so many ICOs that raised way more money, that did so many other twisted things, and they're not even building something that benefits from blockchain. Blockchain does a few things well, and one of those is censorship resistance. Yeah.
Do you have to decline lots of offers?
Yes. During
ICOs?
you know, I emphasized in the sub video, I don't think a lot of people watched it all the way through, but I declined so many offers during the bull market. I don't expect a pat on the back for that. It's just having a sense of morality, right? But you don't find that a lot in finance. I'm in this space for the long term. I want to see it grow. I want to see people benefit from this technology. I don't care about making a quick buck. I could have done that in 2017, and trust me, I didn't monetize my channel very well. I just want to see, I think Project Genesis speaks to this. I just want to build something out that people actually start using, right? And if I can see people using crypto, if I had two options, to be a millionaire or see people using crypto on the day-to-day basis, I'd take the latter of the two. I want to see people just using crypto. Like, that would make me excited, because I got into Bitcoin and crypto from understanding how corrupted the central banking system is, how corrupt traditional finance is, and crypto, I think, is that way out. So I want to play a role in hopefully building that.
The last question is, what are your 3 coins for 2019? Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Man, well, you know, I like any currency that's working with Mimblewimble. I think that's going to be really exciting tech, whether it's just speculative or actually gets used in some projects. I love what Grin and Beam are doing. What else outside of that?
Maybe something off the top 10.
Yeah, no, I like what Monero's done as well with bulletproofs. So it's made doing private encrypted transactions much cheaper and much less data intensive. I think, in summary, for the third point, is it's not so much a specific currency, but any currency that's aiming to be peer-to-peer cash and a store of value, and they do it the best way possible. So they have a good monetary policy. They're innovating new technologies like, you know, Grin with Mimblewimble. I think anything that's doing that and doing something cutting edge, we still have a wave of speculation, a wave or two of pure speculation to come over these next few decades. So I think whatever catches the eye as the next big thing is going to be that aspect in that case. What is that going to be? I listed some names, but who knows? It's not financial advice. You guys got to do your own research and really read the white papers of these projects and see if you see what I see in the technology. Sometimes they take a little while to grasp, but that's kind of where I'm putting my focus in, is money as an application. I think there's a lot of great enterprise applications. There's a lot of cool protocols, but it's very idealistic and it's still very early on. But I do know Bitcoin has proven there is a use case for money, and we just have to make it better, I think, and keep building on it.
And the protocol layers?
Because I think you either end up getting protocols that are honest and show you that there's a long way to go in scaling and actually building on applications that are valuable. Like we've seen on Tron, EOS, and Ethereum. What are the only dApps that have been built? They're gambling apps, and that's fine. There's a market for that. And if that's what comes out of it, hey, there's still a market. But I think the bigger application is money, which is why I still struggle to stand by any major protocols. But I wish all the best to developers if that's where they want to put the focus. And who knows, I might be missing something, you know. So I might be biased. I love the aspect of money for crypto.
Thank you very much, Nicholas Merton. All the best with your great project, and yeah, I'd love to see you in Holland again.
No, thank you for having me. Thanks for the interview. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay.